Lisa's next. So Judy's got to take all the questions now. Yeah.
Thanks again, Brian. Yeah, Judy, I wanted to ask you a question about one of your books. It's the Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, and it relates to some quotes that you have in here from Sasquatch Elder Kamooh. And
Oh, yes.
yeah, like, and the reason I'm asking is I have had a few experiences with Sasquatch in Washington State, Olympic National Park, as well as Yellowstone National Park in the US, and then at my home, which is in Canada. So I'm just that's what piqued my interest about it. There's some very beautiful quotes in here, and I'm just curious, like what your connection is with Kamooh, and how, you know, how you communicate. Do you communicate often? And if so, like what started the communication?
Okay, I don't actually have communication with the Sasquatch. That I'm quoting another book there. But yes, we certainly have them in Australia. But yes, I don't have direct communication. I'm actually trying to think of the name of the gentleman whose book I was quoting from. It's in my book anyway. I give him full acknowledgement. But yes,
Yeah,
he has ongoing communication with them.
Sure. Yeah, and it might be the I can't think of the fellow's name either. There's a couple books on Sasquatch, and he directly works with them. So yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I got confused there.
Yeah, no, you're right. They actually come through from a different dimension, and that's how they can just suddenly appear and disappear. There are many parallel dimensions down here. This is something that confuses people. They don't realize that all the dimensions are right here, right now, happening. So all the Sasquatch and like the Loch Ness monster, and you know, we get these panthers and all this, you know, the big cats who appear and disappear. They come through from another dimension, and they can negotiate the portals consciously, and that's how they make their appearances down here and how they disappear.
My neck, did you have a hand up again? Like,
do you remember having seen Source? Because I had a vision of it, and I'm not sure it's correct or not. And yeah, can we actually move things just with energy? That were my two questions.
Yes. Well,
Thank you.
Energy permeates the whole universe. So we talk about source energy. So that's what source is. It's energy, pure energy, which permeates everything. I say in one of my books that source energy, what people down here call God, but you know, that it's very limited. How people perceive God down here is extremely limited. It's the source
anthropomorphic.
Yeah,
they always say it anthropomorphic, and I always say no. God is not looking like us. No, we are energy. We look like him, like it, and not it like us. That's not
Well, I always make the joke that humans have created God in their own image, because God isn't a physical being. He's way beyond that. And even this he, she thing, you know, God isn't an it. But yes, I call source energy the super glue of the whole universe, and it permeates everything in the universe. So it's all around us. It's within us. So when we learn to, through meditation or whatever, to tap into that source energy that we have within all of us, we can get our questions answered. But that takes a lot of practice and a lot of time. As for you feeling like you can shift a glass without touching it, absolutely. Because remember, you have an energy body that permeates your physical body, but also radiates way, way, way around it in your aura. So yes, when we, this is how we use the energy when we do Tai Chi. When we use a hand like that in Tai Chi, Tai Chi is based on self-defense. So it's pushing and blocking energy. The whole form is set up on that. And some of the really advanced Tai Chi masters can actually bring their hand up like that with a candle flame, say there, and they can push, and the candle flame bends away from their hand. We use it when we're giving Reiki. You can feel the energy coming out of the people's hands when you're receiving or giving Reiki. There's another practice that we do. Sorry?
I do Reiki, so.
Yes, okay.
I'm practitioner, Reiki practitioner. So
Wonderful.
you were talking about the craft that you were. It was a little bit. And when you said that, because I remembered I was doing Reiki to a friend, and I
Yeah.
felt the energy go from my heart into my hand into the solar plexus, and I thought, oh gosh, that was
Exactly.
strong. I mean, and she
Exactly.
also felt it, by the way, but it was really
Exactly.
strong. And I can imagine that, yeah, these crafts can work like that, yeah, because it's energy. Everything is
Exactly.
energy, no?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the way we drive the craft. The energy comes through the crown chakra like it does with Reiki, goes straight down to the heart chakra, runs down the arm meridians, the heart meridians, and through our palms and fingertips. I teach my classes because part of my work down here is to teach Earth humans about the reality of energy. And one of the exercises that we do in our Qigong and Tai Chi classes, we do the practice, and then I get the people to, I'm just holding my hand up so you can see, I get them to hold their hands like that and bring their palms together about 3 times and feeling the energy building up between the palms, and then you rub your hands together. And we often do this as we're about to do a Reiki treatment, because both things use the Reiki energy.
I had a shamanic journey, and our master was also, before the workshop, was also trying to make us pull the energy together, all together, making a ball of energy amongst us. And, it was, and he said, feel it, and actually you do. I mean, people maybe don't believe us, but you feel it. Actually, you really do.
Oh, it's very real, you know, and but that's the energy they use in martial arts. So it can be extremely strong.
The thing is, I don't know if I don't know who I am. I mean, you see what I mean, but where I come from, I would say, if I'm a natural or original human or not. The only thing is that I remember clearly that as a child, my grandparents would think that I was crazy because I was talking to someone all the time, and I was alone. I was a lone child. So, and I was talking always, and to someone, and I was always telling them, "Wait, you go sit there. Maybe you should check. Maybe there is someone." And they were saying, "This child is crazy," because I was convinced, but really convinced that this world is not what we see, and it stayed with me my whole life. So I was naturally very, very intrigued by ET, extraterrestrial, etc., because that made sense to me. I mean, that completely made sense. Yeah. The only thing I saw, and that was a few months ago, and if Sherry knows about the story, I mean, I was in my bed, and I was laying not on the right. Normally, I sleep on my left side, and there I was sleeping on my right side, and looking out of the bed, and I saw a being, and I was absolutely not scared. But I didn't have my eyes completely open. You know, I was just watching, and the being was, I think it was a blue avian, but at the time I thought it was Arcturian, but then afterwards I thought maybe it's more blue avian. Anyhow, from the face features, and then the being came to me, above me, with 3 fingers above my chest. And at that stage, I opened my eyes really, and poof, it was gone. And so I woke up naturally, and I was on that side of sleeping on that side, which was surprising. And I thought, now, was that a dream or was that real? I mean, I still asked myself the question. I still don't know. I still don't know if it was real or a dream. I have no clue. Yeah. But it happened to be 2 days before I stopped smoking. I found it interesting that this being came above my chest just 2 days before I stopped smoking. And the intention was there. I had put the intention. I knew that my last pack of cigarettes would be smoked and I would stop. So that was clear. Yeah. And so 2 days before that, this being comes and just above my chest. So I was there. I said, it's a bit weird, but I still don't know. I really still don't know if it was real.
No, it would have been a real experience, because when you're in that state, you're in that sort of half awake, half asleep state. That's when you can perceive other dimensions around you. And people mistake it for being a dream, but it's not. It's an actual experience, because you're in that particular brainwave that allows you to link into other dimensions around. And what you've always got to remember is you're not the physical body that's sitting there. You're a higher soul energy that happens to be experiencing a physical life in that body.
I guess what I'm next for a question. Yeah, my question is about disclosure. I wish Sherry was here because she felt it should, come suddenly, or it's going to be like full disclosure. And I listened to Susie Hansen's talk. She said it has to be done very thoroughly, one step at a time, slowly and thoroughly. She was on a craft in the 1980s, and she explained this. So she kind of changed my thinking. So did Jeff Silver here in Vancouver, because I used to really want full disclosure, but now I think it has to be slowly, because humanity can't handle the truth. And particularly in relation to President Kennedy, like 10 days before his assassination, he sent a directive to the CIA that the UFO file should be brought under the control of the White House. He also said he wanted to share this with the Soviet Union because it might prevent dangers like accidental mistakes. And I think President Kennedy also stated that he felt the American people have a right to know. This is a democracy, of the right to know. So, was it appropriate to stop President Kennedy? I think it would have been nice not to assassinate, just to tell him the Greys should have gone into the Oval Office and said, "Don't do this, or you're dead." But like I've talked to Susie Anson a couple of times. We've emailed countless times, and she was a bit put off. I made a video about this. Well, maybe the Greys were part of or approved that President Kennedy had to be stopped or assassinated. But I wonder about that. If it's necessary to go slowly, and this is 1963, maybe President Kennedy had to be stopped. So it's a very big question, sensitive. So I just thought I'd get your view on this, Judy.
Okay, we've got to come in from the really, really big picture here. And that is, as our great teacher was always repeating, on a universal level, or in the greater reality, there are no accidents. So no death is ever accidental. We all choose the time of our passing and the manner of our passing before we were even born. So that would have been a pre-birth decision by President Kennedy himself, perhaps to be like a sacrifice or something. He would have some sort of karmic reason for having chosen his death at that time.
Yeah, that's a karmic way of looking at it. I guess as a Buddhist, we think everything happens for a reason, like the law of karma, maybe another way of looking at it. But from the viewpoint of disclosure, I feel it was justified to stop President Kennedy. I wish he didn't have to kill him, but in terms of one life, but the disclosure is such a big deal, like it's going to change all of society. I think it had to be stopped. What do you think?
Well, it's hard to say. I really wouldn't like to put my opinion forward, because I think it was his choice that he made. So, bottom line, it was his choice for that to happen. I know people have awful trouble swallowing that he wouldn't have chosen to be assassinated, but we choose all sorts of incredible things. Everything that happens, we have chosen on some other level, and we have created that situation. We create our own reality, in other words.
Yeah, it's a sensitive question. Also, I want to ask you another question. Do you think there is a good gray ET side to globalism? Because if they want to gradually develop humanity, don't they need to provide more global guidance for humanity? Like, wouldn't a centralized global political control be helpful to them, to advance humanity's evolution?
Well, the thing is if people can evolve to God consciousness or God's will rather than free will, you don't need a global thing, because everyone self-regulates themselves. And the problem with any sort of globalism is there's always underhanded sort of control over the people. And that's not what we want. So,
That's a good answer. Thank you. Yeah. So I guess that to accomplish that, like, we're not on that trajectory naturally. I guess what's happening with all these starseeds coming in, that humanity will be improved. And of course, millions of people are probably being brought on craft and educated, and it's in the subconscious minds.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
many more who realize.
Yeah. But without the help with the ETs, don't you think we're kind of spiritually retrograde? If you look at our society since the 1950s, it's a bit more spiritually retrograde. Like, we're not moving towards that on our own. We need ET assistance, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. Being taken up on the ships at night is waking a lot of people up, because in a survey that was done quite a few years ago now, by, I'm just trying to think of the name of the organisation. They call themselves Free Foundation for research on extraterrestrial.
Oh yeah,
contact or
now they're called the
something, yeah.
Consciousness and Contact
Yeah.
Research Institute.
Yeah.
They changed their name. In fact,
Yeah,
this was
that's
their
right.
name under free. Yeah, in fact, that's
Yeah,
one of our main
that's-
priorities, this meetup. We want to get them as guests, you know, like Ray Hernandez and others, and Mary Rodwell,
Yes.
we've had her on.
Yeah, I know Ray. Yeah, Ray and I were actually in contact back then when that book was being, or before that book was put together.
Well, let's get you and Ray both on sometimes.
Yeah,
He's on our
he's
to-do
lovely,
list.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like wouldn't
Yeah.
my question was, wouldn't centralized global political control be helpful to the Greys to help advance humanity's evolution? Like, could there be a good side to globalism?
Yeah,
in a helpful way?
yeah. No, I know what I was talking about. Yeah, contact with the ETs. The majority of people who did the survey, and I was one of them, all commented upon how they become much more environmentally conscious, much more spiritual as opposed to religious. In other words, the majority who had ET contact had been greatly improved spiritually through it and were consciously aware of it. So I think talking about globalism, I always worry that, again, it's a control thing down here, and it's something that we have to come to ourselves. Because true universal globalism is great, because that's coming back to oneness. We're going back to source. But down here, globalism always seems to be sort of one side or the other side trying to dominate. And this is the problem.
Yeah, there's I guess the reptilian dominance is what we're experiencing politically now, like we say with the Rothschilds, the City of London. Yeah. I guess I always wonder, like, are the Greys part of this? Like, maybe are they going to like outsmart the reptilians and have a more wholesome form of globalism? You know, like you said, it's not going to be something forced, but something more cooperative.
Yeah, well, they are. This is why they're trying to educate people behind the scenes, so that this is the choice that people make, because the whole thing hinges on free will choice down here. So all the Greys can do is try to get the information out to help people to make the right choice, the choice of love rather than the choice of fear. And to link into cosmic consciousness rather than free will, higher will rather than free will, I should say.
I got another question relating to that. Do you think the Greys, you know, who want to help the world, I think they're behind the globalist idea of gender fluidity? Like, they're a lot more genderless. So could they be gradually getting humanity used to the idea of hybrids by introducing a long-term idea change about transgender and LGBTQ and gender fluidity? Like, it seems to be an odd thing that the globalists are introducing in our thinking process.
Yes, that's definitely part of it. Because if you look at the other side, there's all the prejudice against people who are gay, etc., etc. And in higher planetary civilizations, there's not the huge polarity that there is down here, the huge gender thing. Yes, there is male and female, but there's not the huge gap between the two. Down here, male and female are almost two different species.
Men are from Mars, the women from Venus. That's my experience.
Because planet Earth is on the first level of the human ladder, we're extremely polarized. And as we evolve, that polarization is like a pendulum swinging, and gradually the swing, I'll bring my hand up, it's like pendulum swinging, and gradually the swing will get smaller and smaller and smaller until we come to a point of oneness. And that's part of our evolution, or that's our evolutionary path to come back to oneness.
Well, I think this is a really significant idea, because I used to think the whole idea of, you know, transgender or gender, it's odd, and I was basically opposed to it. But if there's a good reason behind it, if the Greys feel, well, this is gradually introducing us to the idea, because when you see the Greys, say some have male, female identity, but they don't have genitalia, they don't look any different. So maybe there's actually a good agenda behind this. I can see some of my friends being upset with me even suggesting this, but I've wondered about it, like why would there be public bathrooms saying, you know, all genders welcome? I mean, maybe it's part of a gradual conditioning. So in a way, this could be a good thing, you think?
Yes, it's all part of coming back to oneness, coming back to center.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I can count on you, Judy, because I've been suspecting that, and I want to talk to them about that. So that's a significant question to me. Thank you. Wow.
And if you think about it, on planet Earth, it's been very imbalanced for a long time. There's been a very patriarchal thing down here. which seems to drive wars and things. And this moving back more to center, away from that very, very patriarchal yang energy, back into a more yin energy. In fact, using those terms yang and yin is a very good way of speaking, because that's the Eastern terms for polarity, yang and yin. And the whole thing, it's same within our own bodies, within our energy system. If it becomes too yang or too yin, that's where illness comes in. So things like Reiki and Tai Chi and things bring our energy system back to balance by bringing yang and yin completely into balance with each other and working towards complementing each other rather than fighting each other.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so Ma, Nick, and then Lisa next. If you need to have a break, Judy, washing break, let me know. We can go on all day. It's still early for you. It's early in the day for you. Okay.
So I think Sherry would agree. Well, I actually agree with her. I think that disclosure is already finished. I mean, we already know, don't we? I mean, those who don't know, they just don't live on the planet. I think we already have disclosure. I mean, we know already that we are not alone in the universe. We already know that there are other beings. We don't need a government to tell us that, oh, there are aliens, you know? I mean, we know it. Now we see them or we don't see them. That's another problem because we don't have the same frequency. But basically we know. So why would you need a disclosure? That would be my question. And then globalism, when we talk about globalism, well, since the planet was hijacked and that we have the dark here, and still, as Sherry would say it, millions here that are still working for the dark, and that we are on a planet of duality, globalism is dangerous because there will be a power taken. And so they will naturally make of us puppets. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, I can't follow the new world order because this is dangerous. I mean, this is dangerous not only for me as a human, but it's dangerous for my soul because they want to chip me and they want to put me with AI. And I don't want that, you know? I want to stay my soul and then meta and all this crap. I mean, excuse me, my soul is eternal. I don't need meta to become eternal, you know? I don't need that. So globalism is definitely a danger for us. I mean, in the way it's rolled out now. That's what I mean. And talking about gender, because I was listening to what you said on gender, if I read correct, Arcturians are gender fluid. So basically they change gender depending on what they want at the moment they want. So I mean, that's good for them. I mean, poor guys here and girls who try to change their gender, they are much in trouble these days. So, and obviously in other races, they are gender fluid. You can just change of gender at the time and the moment you want. So, I mean, that was all my input that I wanted to give.
And a higher race,
you have something to add to that.
If they're not gender free, it's not necessarily they're gender free, but there's complete equality between the two.
No, I sorry, maybe I pronounced wrongly, but it's fluid that I meant, not free.
Fluidity, yes. Yes.
Fluidity.
And what we've got to remember is that we reincarnate and we come back as male and female, so we have experience of both. You know, that's the bottom line.
But on the other hand, you have those who say that actually you are, or originally you have a gender, and you choose or not to experience another gender, well, the other gender, because we don't have many in your experience. But actually you are already a gender, but basically you keep it even when you try to experience another one. Basically your soul keeps her gender.
And on the soul level, we're beyond gender anyway. But yes, it's experiencing both. And I mean, that's why we come into physical form, for more experience. That's the bottom line. And you're quite right on the disclosure thing. I mean, it's not really up to the government, that those who are open to it are open to it, and those who aren't. You know, they can't deny what people are seeing with their own eyes. So I think disclosure will come from the people rather than from the government.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too, because I don't see the point. I mean, we all know it. I mean, even if we don't see, I mean, I never saw a craft, and I don't think I ever saw an entity. But at the end of the day, well, I think that everything is there to show me that these things exist. So
Yeah,
why would I
yeah.
deny it?
That's right. That's right.
That's it.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Well, Judy, I'm glad you said that I'm a higher soul energy, because I can't convince my girlfriend of that. And also Judy said I'm a higher soul energy. I'm not just a physical body. So,
And then she'll turn around and say, well, I am too.
well, of course, I already know that. She's got no faults. That's understood. So Lisa had her hand up there. Go next if you like.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, just going back to the whole notion of oneness, and a lot of the conversation, which is really interesting, is around humanity and where humans, how are they gonna evolve and end up? But what I'm wondering is, like, I'm an environmental scientist, and our focus is on all living life forms, so wildlife, aquatic life. I'm wondering if the Zetas shared any information or talked about the transformation that will occur for wildlife, like or for aquatic life, like other species on that share this planet with humans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is why the ones who are taken on board the ships push the whole, environmental thing so strongly to try to protect these other living conscious beings that share the planet with us. So yes, the Greys are very concerned about that. At the same time, what they do, they have a massive, massive DNA genetic bank, so that when a species down here becomes extinct, they have preserved it elsewhere. And actually part of the work that I carried out in my past Grey life was adaptation of species to other planets, so that if, for example, their habitat down here became useless, that they couldn't live down here, we take their DNA and we adapt them to another planet so that they can continue their reincarnations elsewhere.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense, and I think I've come across that type of approach before, because yeah, like, I think just in terms of humanity here on Earth, and some of the acts that go on, there's human trafficking, there's children trafficking, but then the brutality towards animals, that type of thing.
Animals,
So
yes.
yeah, so I mean, my heart is always thinking about some of these other living beings on this planet that really don't have even the same type of voice that we do, in terms of running this planet like it. So anyway, yeah, I think that that's really good to hear, that some of that DNA can be preserved and reintroduced on other planets. It's I wouldn't say it's
Yeah.
comforting, but it's good to know that there's
Yeah.
that piece as well.
Yes, yes.